Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Untamed Beyond Boundaries. My name is Jen from the Science Center Singapore, and I will be your host for today. So, what is Untamed, you might ask? Untamed was born out of Science Center's ambition to redefine guest experiences amidst the pandemic, leveraging on a multidimensional approach to spark curiosity and self learning, both on the ground as well as online. This podcast is part of the Untamed Conversations, where we will be conversing with some very special guests about wild and wacky topics around science, technology, engineering, and math. Also, to celebrate all that is untamed, we will be giving out some attractive prizes worth up to $80 throughout the event. So, all you need to do is to share your Untamed Challenge experience and hashtag UntamedSG on your social media pages to stand a chance to win these prizes. Okay. But without further ado, let's go back to today's Untamed conversation on composting. And we are very happy to have Ms. Sanjita from Eco Statement to share with us all about composting. So, hi, Ms. Sanjita.
Hi Jen, how are you?
Hi, how are you feeling?
Good, thank you.
Yes, I see you're at home and you are readying your materials all on the table.
Yes, all
Yes.
to begin.
Okay, so if you're good to go, over to you.
All right, thank you. Thanks, Jen, and hello everyone. A very good afternoon, and welcome to this workshop on home composting. Um, So to begin with, let me give you a bit of a background about myself and about the eco statement. So I'm Sangeeta and I'm an educator, and I've been an educator for many years. And during my journey as an educator, I explored a lot of social issues and environmental issues with my students. And during that journey, I became very interested in the field of sustainability, and I started re-examining my own life choices and lifestyle per se on sustainability, changing my lifestyles, etc. And it is with this interest and passion that I founded the Eco Statement, a social enterprise around last year, where we curate sustainable products. And by sustainable products, I mean they are products which are converted from the waste of an industry and made into something which is again functional and of beauty. So some of the products that we have is the Eco Party Wear here. So this is made from dried leaves, and these are actually an alternative to the plastic party wear. So because they are made from dried leaves, they are completely compostable, and I do use it for my composting also, and I'll let you know in a while how do I use it. We also have products made out of newspaper. So again, newspaper can be used for composting, but we do use newspaper to create nice, beautiful products. So like pen stands, even pencils, which are made from newspaper. So no new trees are cut down to create pencils, and other kind of home products. You can look at our website and find out more. And we also conduct events, workshops, and talks around different topics of sustainability. And today's workshop is one such effort of ours. And we are very thankful to Science Center for giving us the opportunity to share this with everyone. You can find our products at the Green Collective, which is a collective of all eco brands at Funan. You can also find our products at the Fair Price Finest at Marine Parade. And of course, you can look at our own e-shop for our products. So that was a bit of background about myself and the eco statement. Moving on, let's go straight into our topic for today, which is home composting. And what are we going to cover in this topic is I will share knowledge from my experiences of doing composting, as well as the shared experiences of family and friends who have been doing composting along with me. We will look at what is actually compost and how can you use it. There are different ways of doing composting, but we will look at what is the aerobic composting method, which is what I do at home. We will look at the different aerobic composting setups that you can have at home. And then we go into a short demonstration on how you can build your own compost bin. And then we will go into some of the do's and don'ts for composting and end with a question and answer session. So let's move on and let's see. Yeah, so a bit of a background about my personal experiences with composting. So I was exposed to composting when I was a child, and I used to stay in my grandmother's house, and I would see my grandmother compost in her backyard. It was a very natural process. She didn't require any special equipment. She had 2 areas in her backyard which were marked for composting, and the garden waste, the kitchen waste that was generated in the house was dumped into one pit. And once the pit was full, she would cover it with dried leaves and she would move on to the next pit. By the time the second pit was covered, the first pit contents would have converted into compost, and she would use it for her garden. So it's a very natural process that was happening. And fast forward to adulthood, where I moved to urban cities and urban living, and small apartments, living in small apartments, this kind of a natural process could not happen. Our apartment living, urban living doesn't allow us to for such natural processes. And I used to feel very bad throwing away all the kitchen waste, because we cook a lot at home, and there's a lot of kitchen waste that is generated. And but I didn't know what to do about it. And until about 6-7 years ago, when I discovered composting at home, and I use the stacked clay pots for composting. And since then, I have not thrown away my kitchen waste at all. And I have used that kitchen waste to convert into compost and use it for my plants and my little garden that I have at home. And my plants are very happy with it. I've been talking a lot about compost. So what actually is compost? So compost is nothing but organic matter, organic matter is nothing but something that was living at one point of time. So that organic matter that has been decomposed by microorganisms and converted into what is called as compost. It is also called as soil conditioner. It is also called as humus. Humus, it is the top rich layer of soil which is present, and it is rich in nutrients, rich in nutrients for the plants and trees to grow. Unfortunately, in Singapore, we don't find that rich topsoil at all anymore because of the rapid construction that we have in Singapore. Why do you need compost? What is the need for composting at home? One of the main reasons is because we need to decrease waste in our lives. I think everyone is aware of it by now, that we only have one landfill, which is the Semakau landfill. And by 2035, that landfill will be full. And government and everyone is looking at ways on how we can decrease waste in our lives so that we can prolong the life of our landfill. You can also, if you're composting at home, you can use this compost to create your own food, grow your own food. Compost is organic in nature, so it acts as our soil conditioner, soil enricher. There are no chemicals or anything in your compost. So it's an organic fertilizer. It's not a fertilizer, it's a soil conditioner that you're adding to your soil and enriching the soil. It is rich in nutrients. You can even use your compost to grow seeds. So you can sift the compost, and that fine compost that comes out, you can use that to grow seedlings. And of course, the most important point, if you are composting at your home and you are creating your own compost, you don't have to go out and buy compost. So if you have a garden of your own, if you have plants of your own, or if you're thinking of having a little garden or plants, you don't have to buy compost. You don't have to spend money to buy compost, and you can use the compost that you have created. Moving on, what are the different ways of composting? So there are many different ways of composting. These are the 3 popular ways, or most known ways of composting. So there is aerobic composting. It is composting that takes place in the presence of oxygen. I realized I was not sharing screen until now. So sorry. So So what are the different ways of composting? So you have we have the aerobic composting, where the decomposition takes place in the presence of oxygen. Then you have the anaerobic composting, where the decomposition takes place in the absence of oxygen, which is also called as Bokashi method. And you have the vermicomposting, in which you use worms for composting. And earthworms in nature, they are called as the natural composters, where they will eat the soil and the organic matter and convert it into compost. The poop that comes out, or what is also called as vermicast, is the compost. So at my place, in my home, I do aerobic composting. And I prefer to do aerobic composting because it requires less resources. I don't do vermicompost because I don't like the idea of I don't like the idea of creepy crawlies in my compost. In my house also, it's a little yeah, not such a happy situation. As for anaerobic composting, there are people who do anaerobic composting, but it requires a bit more of care and attention. So we will look at anaerobic composting in this workshop today. So moving on, what do you need for an aerobic composting method? As I said, it is very easy to set up. It requires only very few resources, and it is a natural process that is taking place, and it is nothing but breakdown of organic matter. All it requires is air, time, and heat, and of course the organic matter. And so that organic matter will be in the form of greens and browns, and I'll let you know what does green and brown mean. It is a very composting terminology. So you will layer your greens and browns in a pile, and you will allow oxygen and microorganisms to do their work and convert this organic matter or these greens and browns into compost. And of course, you need time. Composting, you need the time and patience for the microorganisms to do what they are doing. And usually it takes about 4 to 6 weeks for the mature compost to be formed. Of course, that time is dependent on how you tend to your compost, also dependent on what are the conditions that you have for composting, the amount of greens and browns, the heat, and different conditions that are available for the composting to take place. Right, so as I said, I was talking about greens and browns. It is a very composting terminology. So you need greens and browns, which are nothing but organic matter. So you need greens, which are rich in nitrogen. So some of the examples of greens is your fruits and vegetable scraps that come out from your kitchen. You can also have fresh leaves, which are rich in nitrogen, and coffee grounds, though they are brown in color, but they are not browns. They are not rich in carbon. They are rich in nitrogen, and hence they fall under the greens in composting. Okara, which is nothing but the soya pulp, which comes out once you grind the soya bean. That's also rich in nitrogen. Tea leaves. So if you drink a lot of tea and if you have tea leaves, then rinse the tea leaves, take off the sugar if there's sugar, rinse the tea leaf, and that is a rich source of nitrogen. Eggshells. So don't throw away the eggshells after having your egg. You can wash them, dry them, crush them, and use them as in your compost, because they are again rich in nitrogen and hence are very good base for greens. And then you need the browns. Browns are nothing but materials that are rich in carbon. So you need carbon and nitrogen for the composting to take place, because organic matter in nature is nothing but a mixture of carbon and nitrogen. So for browns, what are some of the brown materials that you can use for composting? You have twigs. You can just go out and just collect twigs which have fallen down, chop them into pieces and use it in your compost. Dried leaves. Go out and collect some dried leaves, chop them and put it into your compost as browns. Newspaper, chop the newspapers and put them into compost. Cardboard, again, tear it into pieces and put it into, and you can use it in compost. Wood chips, if you can find wood chips, right? So these are some of the greens and browns that you will require for composting. Something that you should never add in your aerobic composting pile or aerobic composting bin is you will not add meat, fish, cooked food, or dairy. This cannot be composted in the aerobic composting method. The microorganisms cannot break this down. If you're doing anaerobic composting, this can be done, but not in an aerobic composting. Right. So what is it that you will need to start a composting at home? So this is on the left-hand side. This picture that you see here is the composting setup that I have at home. As I said, I have a stacked clay pot. It is nothing but big clay flower pots that have been stacked on top of each other. And what I do is I fill up the topmost compost bin with my greens and browns as I layer them. Once this is full, I will move this down and bring the second one up, and like that the second one fills up, the third one comes up, and by the time the bottommost portion pot comes up, it's been already 6-8 weeks, I think, and then the compost is ready for me to use. So this cycle has been going on for the last 6-7 years in my house. So don't worry if you don't find these kind of big flower pots with a lid, etc. You can also use a plastic pail. Something like this that you are seeing here. If you're using a plastic pail, you will need to drill holes in the plastic pail. And during the demo, I will show you why do we need to drill holes, etc. So you can use any plastic pail, anything that is available in the house. You don't have to even go and buy a new plastic pail. If you have a good size plastic pail, you can start using that for your compost setup. I have also seen these kind of composting setups where instead of stacking the clay pots, you can also have clay pots which are spread out horizontally. So again, these are nothing but flower pots. So if you have flower pots lying around, clay flower pots lying around, you can use them for composting. And you can start with one, and if that is successful, and if you have another flower pot, you can start with the other one, etc. And you can keep on increasing your setup as is convenient for you. Right. So these are some of the examples of composting setups that home composting setups in Singapore that I have seen. Moving on. Right. So let's go into the demo of how to build your own composting bin. So I have here, I have collected all the items that are required for starting a compost bin. So what will you need? So as I said, you will need a pail. It can be any kind of pail. So I have this pail here. I have this plastic pail here, and the size of the plastic pail is dependent on you, dependent on how much of waste is generated in your kitchen. And I have chosen this size because it is quite convenient to do demos, so it's very convenient for me. But as I said, the size is completely dependent on you. So you will need the pail. You will need one more pail to put it on this, and I'll come in a while that why do you need a bigger bucket or bigger pail to hold the pail which holds your compost. You will need a screwdriver or anything that will help you. So like for example, I have this skewer, barbecue skewer, which I use to drill holes in my compost bin. A cloth or a newspaper to cover your compost, and of course you will need your browns and greens. So the first thing that you will need to do is you will need to take your plastic, your pail, if it's a plastic pail. If it is a clay pot, you don't have to drill holes, but if it's a plastic pail that you're using, you will have to drill holes here. And you need to drill holes because, as I said, that for composting to take place, you need to have aeration. You require air for the composting process to take place. And because if you put your greens and browns in this and it's a plastic pail, there won't be any kind of aeration happening. So hence to let air get in, you'll have to drill holes. So like you can see, I have drilled holes here. You have to drill holes all around your pail, even at the bottom, so that enough air gets into your compost bin. So you can use your barbecue skewer and or a screwdriver or anything, and you can just drill into the plastic and drill hole. It takes a bit of an effort to kind of drill the hole, as you can see. But to make it much easier, the drilling of hole, what you can do is you can have fire. You can light a candle. You can light a candle, heat up your um, heat up your barbecue skewer here, and then you drill it into the plastic. Then it becomes much easier to drill the hole. I have my bin, which I have already drilled holes in it. So it's nicely pulled up everywhere. And so once you have the holes in your compost bin, you are ready to start your composting. Oh, one more thing is, if you are using a lid to cover your compost bin, make sure that you have holes in your compost, your plastic lid also, so that air can go in from top also. So once you have the holes ready, what you need to do is you first layer your compost bin with this newspaper here. Again, why are we putting newspaper? We are putting in the newspaper because we don't want the contents to trickle down from the hole. And also, newspaper will also kind of soak up any kind of liquid that is generated during the composting process. And I will explain to you in a while that why do we have some liquid forming when in aerobic composting or even anaerobic composting. So once you put your newspaper like this in your compost, what you do is you start layering your compost bin. And as I said, you will need you will need to layer it with greens and browns. So I have the greens and browns with me here. So the first layer that you will put is a brown. So I have the browns here. So I have my own compost. So I use it as a brown. So it also, my own compost serves as a starter for the compost also. And I also have these small pieces of chopped plates. As I mentioned that we curate these products, the Eco Partywear. These are nothing but dried leaves. So these are also a good source of carbon. So they are browns. So I kind of save some of the plates which I have used for any kind of event or function. I wash them up, dry them, and then chop them and use them as browns. So what you do is you first put a layer of brown. So I have this first layer of compost that I'm putting in here. So always start with the brown. You need to start with the brown, and then you put, right? So I have put in a layer of browns here. And then I have the greens with me here, which is all the chopped fruit peels, vegetable peels, etc. And you see, I have chopped up the fruit peels, vegetable peels, etc. And why do we need to chop it up? Because it will then fasten the composting process. So it's another tip for home composting, especially in urban areas, that if you chop up your vegetable peels and fruit peels, it fastens the composting process. So again, add a layer of greens here. Yeah, so I have put in a layer of greens here, and then you again put another layer of browns. So I'm putting in the compost, cover it with the brown. I'm also putting in some of my chopped dried plates. Yeah, so you have another layer of brown that is formed, and then you can keep on adding the layers. You can have another layer of green. And then top it up with another layer of brown. So yeah, so I have done my layering of the greens and browns, and then I can cover your compost bin with either another newspaper another piece of newspaper, or if you have an old cloth, you can put it on top of it. Or if your compost with the plastic pail already has a cover, then you can use that also. And as I said, if you're using a plastic cover to cover your compost bin, make sure that you have drilled holes into your plastic cover also. If it's a cloth or newspaper, it's fine, because there will be natural aeration taking place. And so your compost bin is ready here. Now what do you need to do with this compost bin? You can take another pail and then put this in here, and then keep it in a place where there is enough air. There is enough wind, but make sure that you keep it in a place which doesn't get rain splashes, because you don't want your compost getting wet because of rain splashes coming in. So keep it in a place where there is wind, but it is saved from rain. And then why do we need to cover this with another pail? It is because when the composting process happens, there is heat generated, and of course there is some water that is also generated. And this water is it's a byproduct of compost, and it is called as leachate. It is a little smelly, and that water, you can see it will seep out from the holes here. So you would want to capture it into another bowl. One, because yes, it has a smell, and second, because it might also stain your floor. So if you don't want that, you can you put another pail under it. But I have seen people not doing that also, because there is, aerobic composting method, not so much of leachate is generated. I have seen people who use these big pails of plastic and then use bricks to keep the plastic pail on top. So if there is any kind of leachate that is generated, it just seeps down onto the ground. But if you are concerned about staining your floor, as well as concerned about the smell, you can always put another plastic pail here, right? And then after you have done your layering, you keep layering it until your plastic pail is full. And then, as I said, keep it in a space where there is enough wind, enough aeration. And don't forget about your compost bin, because treat it as a new baby in your house. And you will need to keep tending to it every day, just to make sure that the compost is healthy and there is nothing unwanted that is growing. Also keep a check on whether your compost is too moist or is it too dry, because we don't want the compost to be watery. We don't want it to be too dry, right? It has to be like nice and moist, just like a bit of moist soil is, right? So so that was the demonstration on how to build a compost bin at home. Let's move on. Right, so this is this slide actually again gives you the whole process of how to build a compost bin. So as you can see, you start, you create holes. If it's a plastic pail, you create holes at the bottom as well as the sides, and then you start layering your compost bin. You put a layer of newspaper. If you don't have newspaper, if you have twigs that can cover the bottom, you can use twigs also, and then alternate the brown and green layer, brown and green layer, and the top should be brown. Cover it with a cloth, and then you can leave it, as I said, you can leave it in your balcony, you can leave it in your corridor, wherever there is enough wind, and do make sure that it is protected from rain. Keep layering your compost bin until it is full. And as I said, that check your compost bin every day. You can give it a stir also, just to make sure that the composting is happening and there is nothing unwanted getting into your compost bin. And also to check whether your compost bin, the compost contents are not very dry, not very moist. Once the bin is full, and you want to start another cycle, and you want to use the same bin that you have used, you can actually pour the contents of this particular bin into another bin, and then you can start another cycle. If that is the case, then if you are starting to have another cycle going on, which means that your composting experiment is successful. You have become confident about composting at home, and yes, that's then just really wonderful. And right, so oh yeah, so this is a video which again shows you how to layer a compost bin. This is how I layer my compost bin, the big flower pot at my home. So I'll just show you a video again about layering a compost bin. Right, so that was a short video on how to layer your compost bin. Moving on. Yeah, so I'll talk a little bit more about the leachate that I was telling you about. It is nothing but the water that is generated from the composting process. It is a byproduct of composting. You won't get so much of leachate in an aerobic composting method. I have never gotten so much of water as shown in the picture, but it is, and this kind of a liquid is only produced if you have a plastic pail setup, because the plastic cannot absorb that water, but it will condense, that water will condense and it will drip down from your plastic pail. But if you have a clay pot will absorb that water, and that is why then you don't have the leachate forming in that kind of a aerobic setup. Now, this leachate or liquid gold, it has a very bad reputation because it does smell. But even though it is smelly, it is very rich. It is very rich in nutrients. So you can actually collect that leachate gold, that leachate water, and you can dilute it and you can use it as fertilizer for your plants, right? If you don't want to use it also, it's fine, you can throw it away. But make sure when you're throwing it away, you don't throw it on the floor because it does stain the floor. But if you want to collect it, and if you don't want it to stain your floor, then you could put your compost bin, the pail, into another pail here, right? And also, as I said, check your compost bin daily, because you don't want too much of leachate to be forming, so that your compost becomes so very moist and wet that the composting process is not happening and it is hindering your composting process. Moving on. So when do you know that compost is ready? So as I said, composting can take anytime from 2 weeks to 2 months, depending on the composting conditions, the amount of material that is there for composting, etc. The finished product looks like soil or earth, as you had seen when I was layering the compost bin. The compost looks like, it's like rich black in color, soft and crumbly, and it will smell. The smell of the compost is something like, the smell of soil or the smell of earth when the first rains fall. You don't get this smell so much in Singapore, but if you have ever smelled that rich smell of earth when a long spell of summer, the earth is very dry and the first rains hit the earth, that kind of smell will come out from your compost. You can sieve your compost. You will see there might be large clumps, small clumps. Sometimes some of your kitchen waste may have 3/4 composted. It is not completely composted. So then if you don't like that look, you don't like that kind of rough kind of a compost look, you can always sieve your compost, remove the large pieces. You can put those large pieces back into your compost bin for more composting. So it's all up to you how you use your compost. But make sure your mature compost, you make sure that it is, when you look at it, the smell is nice. When you smell it, it is a nice smell. And also make sure that it has that that rich black soil kind of a look, right? You can even test with a pH paper if you have. A mature compost should be kind of neutral pH, so about 6.5 to 7.5 pH tells you that it's a good mature compost that can be used for your plants. Right, so some of the tips and tricks for composting. So you need greens and browns for composting. Now, the ratio, the kind of optimal ratio that I have seen that works in Singapore, because we live in a very hot and humid country, you need for 1 part of greens, you will need 3 parts of browns for the composting process to take place. If you feel that your compost is very dry and your kitchen waste is not kind of converting into compost, probably you will need to add a bit more of greens. So you can collect fresh leaves. If you don't have enough kitchen waste, then you can collect fresh greens, or if you have coffee grounds, etc., add it to your compost. Is it too damp? If you feel that it is very watery, if you're holding the compost in your hand and if you can see it's like it makes your hand like wet, then which means that you need to add some more browns into your compost bin. So you can add dried leaves, you can add chopped cardboard away, and then put it into your compost bin. Another tip which I said is chop your vegetable fruits and chop your vegetable and fruit scraps so that it can speeden up your composting process, and give it a stir once in a while, so that the whole greens and mounds also get mixed up, and there is a bit of aeration also that happens when you are stirring the compost mixture. So once in 2-3 days you can actually stir your whole compost mixture there. And as I said, don't forget about your compost bin once you have started composting. Check the health of your compost daily. It just treat it as a new baby in your house. And once you start doing it, after a few days, it will become a habit for you that you will go and check your composting bin without fail. Right. So with that, we come to an end to this workshop, and let's move on to the question and answer session. And I will hand it over to you, Jen, for the question and answer.
Okay, so thank you so much, Ms. Sangeeta, for that very informative talk about composting. Do we have any questions? We do actually have some coming in, and I'm just going to read them out from the chat. Hopefully, it will help us shed some light on it. Jen says, how much of our food waste is green? If we have less brown and more green, what will happen to our compost, and will it still be effective for plants? I assume to be used as a fertilizer.
As long as your compost has formed, you have the rich compost, it should be fine. As I said, keep the ratio of like 1:3, 1 part of greens and 3 parts of browns. It should be fine. Yes.
So in the event that there is too much green, it would be too wet, I would assume.
Yes.
Might be too wet. Okay, and how you will combat that would be to put more browns. So it's all about balancing the composition or the concentration of water and everything in your compost, I would assume. So I hope, Jen with the J, that answers your question. Mel says, where do you buy that kind of clay pot setup that you have? It looks very pretty.
So that clay pot setup was, I got it from India. So you get them in India. So actually a few of us were looking at composting, and we got together and got a whole shipload of one whole container load of this compost in for our, so it's available in India. I have received queries from people if they would like to buy it from here. I mean, if there is enough requirement, then we can again do another shipload of this composting containers. You can always drop us an email at the eco statement, and we can look at how we can arrange to bring those compost bins.
Yes. So Mel, if you do find a nice clay pot setup in here, just let us know. Tag us in photos and everything, and we will we'll have a look as well. So that's good. Another question, Sophie says, what is the difference between a fertilizer and a conditioner?
Okay, a fertilizer is something that you will buy from the shop. So a fertilizer can be something which is a nitrogen-rich fertilizer or a phosphorus-rich fertilizer, etc.
Mm.
You will use to increase the either nitrogen content or the phosphorus content of your soil. This the compost is more of a soil conditioner or enricher. It enriches the nutrients in your soil as such. So it kind of balances the nutrients in your soil. But if your soil is lacking nitrogen, if it is lacking potassium or anything, you will need to buy those fertilizers that can increase the amount of nitrogen or potassium in your soil. And you
So,
organic fertilizers in the nursery shops. Instead of buying the chemical ones, look for the organic ones.
so something like the result of our compost will be it will have nutrients that are spread out across all different types instead of just one particular nutrient, I would say. Okay, Guru says, I compost at home and it's quite fun. Good job, Guru. Keep it up. My setup is just a plastic flower pot where I throw the kitchen waste in. However, many people are worried that compost attracts insects. Is that a bad thing?
It should not have, your compost should not have maggots in it, because if it has maggots in it, then definitely your compost is not healthy. You need to check the health of your compost. But it can attract insects like ants and all that, which are harmless insects. And in my compost bin also, I do get ants and all these little insects that come in, which is fine. Your compost is, I mean, it's a natural process, and in nature you will get all these kind of small little insects and which will be attracted, so which is fine. But if you're really very you don't want ants in your house and you're a little OCD kind of person, then you can use the ant gel or insect gel and put it around your compost bin so that you can so you don't let those near your the insects near your compost bin.
I see. So it really depends on what kind of insects, I would think.
Insects and your tolerance to the insects also. Yes. So kind of insect like maggots and all, yes, definitely you don't want maggots growing, because then your compost is too wet and it might start smelling and it's not healthy enough. But insects like ants and small little insects, even now in my compost there are some tiny insects which are walking around, which are fine. And as long as you feel that your compost is healthy and it's not smelling, etc., then those insects are fine.
So I think it's really up to your discretion or your discernment to decide if you want to continue your compost, save your compost, or maybe start a new one as well. We have another question from Kiritika. She says, can you compost cornware, like how you would compost your dry leaf plates? So we have a lot of cornware around, right? Yeah.
There's a lot of cornware around. I have never tried composting cornware. Simple reason, because cornware is not completely made of corn. It does have some plastic in it, also content in it. So I don't want to contaminate my compost with cornware, and so I have never tried composting cornware. But they do say that cornware is biodegradable, but I am not sure how much of it can be biodegraded in a home composting setup. It might need an industrial composting setup to compost your
Yeah, that's true. I think what is completely biodegradable might not be good for the compost itself, right? Because I was reading somewhere that newspapers with color print, for example, should not be used. Black and white newspapers are okay, but the color, it will still biodegrade, but the color might affect the acidity and everything. So guys out there, if you guys are composting, you just might want to take a small note as to what you can and cannot add for your brown. So Yiping asked, I think this is in relation to the fertilizer and conditioner question, can compost replace fertilizer completely?
I don't think so. Compost can completely replace fertilizer, but I can say that for me, I am using less of fertilizer for my plants since I started adding compost into my for my plants. Yes. So it can't completely replace fertilizers. You sometimes might need some fertilizers to increase a certain content of your soil, nitrogen, potassium, or whatever. So, but it does provide those nutrients and decreases the usage of fertilizer, and plus also it also maintains the pH level of your soil. to a kind of neutral pH level.
Okay. This one is from Sandy. So Sandy asks, I've seen videos where people throw food waste or unfinished cooked food, so basically the leftovers that we eat, into composting bins. I personally have seen them as well. I've seen a couple of videos of cooked food, and they just like scrape it off into the bins. But you had said not to use cooked food, to use raw ones only. Is that a reason why?
So it is because this is aerobic composting method, and in the aerobic composting method, the microorganisms cannot compost oil, meat, etc. What you have seen must be the anaerobic composting method, which is composting that happens in the absence of oxygen. So you can throw cooked food, and then it can take care of the cooked food waste also.
Okay, so it's good that we have different types of composting methods that cater to the different kinds of foods. But just for all of you who are composting out there, just be careful what kind of greens and browns you're putting in the different types of composting systems. Amanda asks, and I think, are we out of time? We have time for one more question? Yes, we do, I think. So Amanda asks, why must the browns and greens be in alternate layers? Will a chunk of brown and a chunk of green stacked right on top of each other not work?
It is recommended to layer your compost bin with greens and browns because you need the carbon and nitrogen content for the microorganism to work together. If you do like that, a big chunk of green, a big chunk of brown, the composting might take a long time. So for a faster composting process, it is better to layer your compost with browns and greens.
This is all about efficiency, I guess. Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Sangeeta, for a very informative session and for answering any queries that we have, and for the people out there who have. Thank you so much, you guys, for turning in and tuning in. And remember to hashtag UntamedSG in your social media posts. Names of all lucky winners will be posted on our Untamed Facebook page, so do keep a lookout for that. And with that, thank you so much. Thank you all of you, and thank you, Ms. Sangeeta, as well. And remember that when it comes to STEM, nothing is beyond boundaries. Thank you and bye-bye.